BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
All right, what's happening? We are back, and what a card to be back for. UFC 319. In my opinion, this is probably the best middleweight fight in history. The last one I was pumped for, as big as this middleweight fight, was probably Anderson Silva when he fought Dan Henderson. I remember Anderson Silva was the UFC champ. Dan Henderson was the Pride champ. I think he had 2 belts at the time in Pride. And that fight was big when he came over to fight Silva, and I was really pumped for that one. I think this is one of those fight cards, main events that, you know, it really stands out. Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis, both of these guys by far the best guys right now in that division. I mean, you got some guys coming up, right? Rainer de Ridder and Fluffy Hernandez looked phenomenal. Great gas tank on that boy, holy. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, UFC just signed a new rights deal in the USA. So no more pay-per-views for the Americans. Unfortunately for the Canadians, if you're a Canadian, you're still going to be in a tough boat because, you might have access to Paramount Plus, but you won't have access to the UFC on Paramount Plus if you are in Canada, because they're not allowed to show UFC in Canada until they get the global rights deal. And I think Rogers Sportsnet currently has the rights deal for UFC in Canada, so it's going to be still some issues for some of the Canadians, but for the Americans, way better. And just if you were a UFC fan, I think they were saying it's like $1,400 a year just to be a UFC fan if you're buying all the pay-per-views and you're subscribed to whatever it may be, that, you know, either Fight Pass or Sportsnet or whatever it may be, ESPN Plus for the Americans. But now it's just going to be $12 a month, and, you know, way better. No more pay-per-views. The first time ever the UFC's gone away from the pay-per-view model since the history of the UFC, which is crazy. And I really feel bad, though, for the pay-per-view guys. Like, if you're a champion and you're getting points on the pay-per-view, now you're really screwed. So if you're probably going to see some guys come out and try to get because there's only a few fights left before the end of the year. So if you're maybe a Topuria, hey, maybe we get one in before the end of the year, get some pay-per-view points, because unless they sign a new contract, I don't know if they're going to be getting much money out of that new deal. And the UFC is going to be making a ton of money, almost $100 million a month, which is crazy. So, man, the guys who are in the pay-per-views, unfortunately for them, they're not going to be making the same amount of money. But if you're the guy on the prelims and you're just some nobody, it's probably better for you because you're going to get more eyeballs on you. But, I really feel bad for the Islams, the Topurias. Or if you're a new champ like Khamzat, right, and you want to get them pay-per-view points, that's going to really suck, man. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. Better for the consumers, though, better for guys like us. Man, this fight here, Khamzat taking on Dricus. So let's get straight to it. Main event. In my opinion, this is probably the greatest middleweight main event I've been stoked for in a long, long time. Dricus du Plessis, this guy has always proved me wrong. Khamzat, on the other hand, this guy's always proved me right. Every single fight he's had in the UFC, if you guys have been following me, I've taken him every single fight, and he's nothing but proved me right. Dricus, on the other hand, this guy constantly proves me wrong. I mean, I have bet again on him, but some of those fights, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if Dricus is going to win this one, and he always pulls through. This guy's just a winner, an absolute savage. His jiu-jitsu is a lot better than people give him credit for. In a quintet, he submitted 5 people in a row in a quintet, like literally Shark Tank. Insane. And he's not even a jiu-jitsu guy. He's an MMA guy. So his jiu-jitsu, his grappling is high level, and everyone's just saying the same thing. Hey, if it ends in the first two, Khamzat's going to win. Khamzat's going to steamroll him in the first, or Dricus du Plessis is going to win in the later rounds. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, man. I have a feeling this fight might be going to decision here. Khamzat might even win a decision here. Don't be surprised. I think Khamzat comes out like a bat out of hell, but is he gonna come out like that crazy in a 5-rounder compared to a 3-rounder? In a 3-rounder, you could maybe get away with that. 5-rounder, it's a little tough, so maybe he might come out there and pace himself. Dricus does have a huge size advantage on him, but Khamzat will get him down. He's gonna get him down early. Dricus does have good defense. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He might be able to weather the storm. If Usman and Gilbert Burns can weather the storm, I think DDP can weather the storm. Khamzat's in great physical condition, even though you've seen him slow down in the second round. If you watch those fights with Durinho and Usman, he slows down in the second round because he blows his wad in the first. Second round, he sort of takes his time, gets his breath back, and then third round, it's like he hits his second win. He seems to be fine. That's what might happen here. Khamzat might just come out with a bat out of the hell second round. He might just be coasting. He might even lose the second round, and people might think he's gassing. But he's sort of just hitting his second wind, and if he hits his second wind in the third, fourth, fifth, I think he'll be fine. He's training with Sam Calavita. He does have fast twitch muscle fibers, so that doesn't really play well for good guys with cardio guys. But I think he's going to be in good shape. I just have a feeling this fight might end a little differently than a lot of people may think. If it does end early, it's probably Khamzat in the first, right? But I have a feeling this fight may be going to decision, and I am picking Khamzat to win because this guy has nothing but proved me right. And I want to see Khamzat Chimaev, your next UFC champion. I think he's the guy, man. 14-0, undefeated, just a destroyer. So I think he's the guy you want as champion. Hopefully he can stay active as a UFC champion. So I'm going to go with Khamzat Chimaev, and he's minus 220 currently. And co-main, Aaron Pico taking on Lerone Murphy, man. This is a really tough one because Aaron Pico, he's got all the hype in the world, but he hasn't really lived up to it, man. I mean, if you watch his last few fights, I mean, not that impressive. Like, he beat Henry Corrales his last fight. Henry Corrales is the guy who knocked him out dead for the first time. This was back in 2019. Henry Corrales had a fight with Aaron Pico about 6 years ago. Aaron Pico was winning the fight. He was dominating the fight, and he got caught. It was like a clinch, overhand right. And Henry Corrales completely just destroyed Aaron Pico. And the next fight after that, he gets just destroyed again, flying kneed by Adam Borix. And then, he goes on a nice little win streak, fights Jeremy Kennedy, gets his shoulder injury, right? So we're not going to count that. And then his last fight, he fought Corrales again, and Corrales did not look the same. I think he took the fight on short notice. He looked really out of shape. And, he got finished by Aaron Pico. So, it's been over a year since he's fought. He's not fighting the same level of competition. I'm sort of leaning towards Lerone Murphy, but at the same time, Aaron Pico does have the skills to beat Lerone Murphy. He's a great wrestler, right? Very high level, highly touted wrestler since high school. So they were talking about Aaron Pico since high school. He was like a Bo Bassett, not as obviously famous as Bo Bassett, but he was sort of like that high school kid, killing it, and just hasn't lived up to the hype, man. And Lerone Murphy's a really tough fight for the guy too. Like, Lerone Murphy's got a chin, right? That's number one. He's got a great chin. He just fought Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett hits hard for 145. He might be one of the hardest hitters at 145, Josh Emmett, or maybe number two. And, Lerone looked good, man. And he just outclassed him, outclassed Dan Ige. He's been on a roll. Now, everyone on his list that he's fought does not have the wrestling of an Aaron Pico. So Lerone Murphy has never fought a guy with wrestling as Aaron Pico. He's fought some really good strikers, guys who are better strikers than Aaron Pico, right? Edson Barbosa, better striker, Dan Ige, he's a wrestler, boxer. I wouldn't consider him a super high-level wrestler like an Aaron Pico. Dan Ige's wrestling is good, but it can be exposed. Like you've seen Pitbull, who's a jiu-jitsu guy, exposed his ground game. Josh Emmett's got good wrestling, but it's more defensive style. Like he's got a really good sprawl. He sort of likes to sprawl and brawl, and he loves to land that overhand right. But Aaron Pico, he's a good guy that can mix it up. This one is a toss-em. I mean, I'm leaning a little towards Lerone because of the UFC experience. The UFC jitters are real. First fight in the UFC, how is Aaron going to deal with it? He hasn't dealt with it good in the past in Bellator. That being said, he is 28. He's training with the right team. He's training with the Jackson guys out in Newport Beach there, California. You got Armin Saruki in there, TJ Dillashaw, Hamzat Chimaev, Sam Calavitas, the strength and conditioning coach. These guys got resistance bands on the air bike. That's crazy. The air bike's a destroyer, and you're putting resistance band on the air bike. Clearly he's going to be in great physical condition. The real question is he going to be able to take Lerone Murphy down? And if he does take Lerone Murphy down, is he going to be submitting him? I don't think so. So I think Aaron Pico, if he does win, it's probably going to be by decision. And Lerone, I would assume he's probably going to win a decision if he wins, but don't be surprised because he can KO Aaron Pico, and Aaron Pico has been KO'd multiple times before. So a few times, Henry and Adam Borks KO'd him pretty badly. Yeah, this fight right now is it's really tough to pick the winner on this one. I mean, who does the UFC want? The UFC clearly wants Aaron Pico to win, right? Big name, a guy they can get behind, American, right? You got no Americans in the title pictures, right? No American champions right now, other than Kayla Harrison. But I'm talking the males. So who's an American that they can throw in there, right? Who's an American that they can maybe have as a champion fight at the White House card or fight for the belt at the White House card? I mean, Aaron Pico, if he can go in there and beat Lerone Murphy, they might just throw him in there for a title fight, right? They wanted him to fight Mobsar. Mobsar, he's probably a guy who should already be fighting for the title. Man, this is a really tough one. That one's probably going to go decision, I think. Up next, Jeff Neal taking on Carlos Pratz. Carlos Pratz, very exciting fighter, the nightmare. He came into the UFC just on a roll. He was knocking everybody dead, knocked out the Leech. First time I seen the Leech get flatlined Neil Magny face first, destroyed Charles Radke with a knee to the body. Carlos Pratz's striking is for real. But his last fight against Ian Gary, he looked awful. He just looked gun-shy. I mean, Ian Gary was doing a really good job mixing up the grappling with the striking, but even Carlos Pratz, he did have Ian Gary hurt there at the end of the fight. Just didn't have that killer instinct like he has in his normal fights. Maybe that's just Ian Gary being Ian Gary, and he's that good. He just shut your game down, which is possible. Ian Gary is the real deal. But this fight, on the other hand, is going to play right into Carlos Pratz because Jeff Neal is not going to go out there and try to grapple with you. He probably won't even mix it up with you. He's just going to strike with you. He's not going to grapple. He's not going to try to mix up the wrestling with the striking. He's going to go out there and try to bang. And it's worked good against him in some of his fights, right? He's got some big wins. Knocked out Vicente Luque. Knocked out Mike Perry, knocked out some heavy hitters, beat Rafael Dos Anjos' last fight, and he's fought the Shavkats, he's fought the Ian Garys as well, so he's got experience, he's the real deal. Unfortunately, stylistically, it's going to work against him this fight just because Carlos Pratz is a striker and he's a better striker. But that being said, it's going to be a banger. Jeff Neal, he won't go out without a bang, and he will stand in the pocket and exchange with you. He's tough. But unfortunately for Jeff Neal, it's just a bad stylistic matchup. Both guys strikers, and I think Carlos Pratz just a little cleaner on the feet. And I think I'll go with Carlos Pratz on that one. I really like Carlos. Very exciting to watch. Very good for the sport. Up next, Jared Cannonier taking on Michael Venom Paige. This is a great fight as well at middleweight. Two older guys, almost 40, both guys. Jared is 41, so Michael's almost 40. This is depends on what Cannonier shows up. If Cannonier shows up and he does what he usually does, likes to strike, it's going to go really bad, and he probably might even get knocked out by a straight right-hand laser that just comes flying in there. That right hand of MVP is a laser beam, dude, and he can land it from far away, and it's got power at middleweight as well. He looked really good against Sharp Bullet. The fact is, though, that Jared Cannonier is big, strong, and he can grapple. So if he grapples with MVP, it's going to be a bad night for MVP. But Jared Cannonier, he's not a grappler. He likes to strike. He's got knockouts, right? Knocked out the RoboCop, even though he wasn't looking good in the beginning. Almost got knocked out himself. Came back, knocked out the RoboCop. But yeah, if you're gonna go out there and you want to do what Jared Cannonier usually does, which is striking, it's gonna work really bad against this in this fight, because MVP is probably one of the best strikers in the game right now. So I'm gonna go with MVP. I just think Jared Cannonier is gonna go out there and try to strike with him because he likes to strike, and I just think that's gonna go really bad for him. But if he goes out there and turns wrestler, then that's his key to victory. Up next, Bobby the King Green. Man, he has not had an easy last few fights. I mean, he's had 3 losses in his last 4 fights, and those 3 losses were all finishes in the first round where he's been completely unconscious in the first round. And his only win was over a 40-year-old Jim Miller. Not good. His last fight, Ruseab just destroyed him with that spin kick. Before that, Paddy Pimblett choked him to sleep. Jalen Turner just destroyed him viciously. Oh, man, he's been having a real tough time. I think this might be, maybe if he loses, this might be the last fight for Bobby Green. If he loses this one, I'm going to go with Diego Ferreira. He's been looking really good. He had that great overhand right. He knocked out Michael Johnson with it, beat Matej Rebecki, who just looked really good his last fight as well. I'm going to go with... Matej Rebecki actually lost his last fight against Chris Duncan. But I'm going to go with Diego Ferreira. I just think Bobby Green not been looking good lately. Lost 3 of his last 4, all in the first. Tough fight for Bobby Green. And Diego Ferreira does have a heavy overhand right, so don't be surprised if Diego Ferreira goes out there and finishes Bobby the King Green. Kai Asakura taking on Tim Elliott. I'm going to go with Kai Asakura on this one. He had a tough first fight. Your first fight in the UFC, you're fighting the champ, Alexander Pantoja. Hopefully he got the rub. I think he's going to be much better in this fight, and I think he should be able to get the finish against the 38-year-old Tim Elliott. 38 at flyweight is tough. 38 at heavyweight, not so bad. At flyweight, when the speed is the first thing to go, right? The power is usually the last. It's going to be tough. Kai Asakura is fast. He's very explosive on the feet. Decent ground game. If Tim Elliott's key to victory here is definitely using the grappling here, and Tim Elliott can grapple. But, Kai Asakura, no slouch on the ground himself. Very explosive, and he's got very good striking, very good flying knees and stuff. So I'm going to go with Kai Asakura on this one. So, yeah, Diego, we already took Diego against King Green. Gerald Mershard against Mikhail Olszewicz. I'll go with Mikhail. This one, Chase Hooper taking on Alex Hernandez. This is definitely, I'm surprised to see Chase Hooper such a big favorite, minus 330, because this is definitely probably his toughest test. His fight with Jim Miller wasn't that impressive. I expected him to go out there and finish Jim Miller. He did not look that impressive to me. And, Alexander Hernandez is going to be a tougher matchup than Jim Miller, that's for sure. This is definitely going to be Chase Hooper's toughest test in a while. Maybe ever, because Alex Hernandez is legit. But he's a guy, he's coming off 2 straight wins, so he's looking not bad lately. So I think he's a live dog in this one. I think this one is probably going to go with the decision. So I'll go over 2.5 on that one. I just have a feeling Chase Hooper probably going to win out the decision in that one. But Alexander Hernandez, a live dog. Especially for those odds. Drakkar Klose taking on Edson Barbosa. Both guys a little older in age. Both guys like to strike. Both guys don't grapple too much, especially Barbosa. Barbosa really doesn't like to grapple. Drakkar Klose, he does grapple a bit, but he's the guy who likes to strike himself. I just think if you're going to strike with Edson Barbosa, it's going to be a long night for you. Unless you really, really put the pressure on Edson. He doesn't really strike well when he's moving backwards too much, but if he's putting that pace on you and he's landing those leg kicks, it could be a long night for Drakkar Klose. So I'll go with Edson Barbosa on that one. Last one I'm going to do here is Ryan Battle taking on Nursultan Ruseab. This is interesting. Nursultan is a really good fighter. He had that one fight at welterweight, and it just, he got destroyed by Joaquin Buckley. But at middleweight, he's been flawless. I mean, he's been destroying guys. Beat Bruno Ferreira, who was 10-0 at the time when he beat him. Beat Cedric Dumas in the first round. Finished Eric Monquicchio or whatever. So he's been looking pretty good at middleweight. So if the fight's at middleweight, I'm sort of leaning. I like Nursultan in this one. I mean, Brian Battle's been looking good. Just beat Randy Brown. A close split decision fight, but Nursultan's no joke, and he's a guy who's got a lot of experience, man. So Nursultan's got a lot of fights. So I'm gonna go with Nursultan on that one. But man, this oh yeah, we got the Alibi's fighting too from the Ultimate Fighter. That's gonna be good. And yeah, man, this main event is gonna be sick, bro. Sick. Yeah, if you guys need a place to BetUS promo code ICE, man, this is the one to bet on. That's for sure. They got some good parlays here, like Hamzat parlayed with Carlos Prates or Akaya Sakura. That could be some money right there. Yeah, let's make that money. Out.